You're still watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Now, the President-elect, Nana Akufo-Addoof, has today been reacting to reports of MPP supporters clashing with the supporters of the NDC. The President-elect described such attacks as, quote, unfortunate, and called on supporters of the party to desist from such acts. Well, today he interacted with the Chief Imam, Sheikh Nuhu Osman Sharbutu. We can first hear from the Chief Imam, who addressed the President-elect through his spokesperson, Sheikh Arami Al-Shaibu.
We're here to congratulate you on your victory as the winner of the 2016 presidential election, as declared officially by the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Most certainly, your victory in this election did not come out of nothing. Indeed, it is the outcome of strong determination, faith in God, exceptional dedication, hard work, tenacity of purpose, and good planning throughout the long period of your struggle to assume the leadership of our great nation. For the past years, we have been observing with admiration your exceptional courage and never give up spirit in the face of an extraordinarily fierce political contest. We therefore together join you and your Vice President-elect, your families, your two families, your entire MPP fraternity, at this moment of your joyful celebration as the President and the Vice President-elect, whose victory signifies to us another milestone in our national journey towards an enduring democracy. Whilst rejoicing with you and your party, we equally wish to assure you of our continuous prayers and support throughout your entire tenure as the President of our dear land. It is important to place on record that your call for calm to your supporters prior to the declaration of the electoral results and the conciliatory tone of your victory speech are both giving ample testimony to your commitment to for democracy and rule of law, and therefore worthy of our commendation. Let me also add that a concern has been expressed by the current president about certain events that are taking place across the country. And in the interest of the peace of our country, we also want to add a voice. Such things, if they are truly going on, probably your voice could also help to ameliorate the problem so we can have a very peaceful transition in the interest of our country. We wish you and your party the guidance, support, and protection of Almighty Allah in the course of your determined endeavors to lead Ghana onto the path of lasting progress and prosperity. Thank you, and may the Almighty Allah bless you.
Meanwhile, Nana Akufo-Addoof didn't mince words as he condemned the attacked Ghanaians not to engage in any act to mar the peace enjoyed before the polls.
It is so important for the peace of our nation that we understand each other. Our nation today is the bright star of Africa. Peace with which we went through this election, the manner in which the results were announced, acceptance by the President of the Republic, which we will always thank him. It's the first time that it's happened to a sitting president, that he accepted the will of our people with such grace that it is to his credit. And it was also God working through him. He allowed us to preserve the peace and the stability. The few incidents that are going around to which you live, my understanding is that they're all calming down. When these big events happen, it's normal. One or two people will get very intoxicated. Things happen. But the information I have is that across the country, now all these incidents are coming to a conclusion, and normalcy is coming. All of us have to continue to work for that, so that the very beautiful thing that occurred on Wednesday, where our people, nearly 11 million people across the country, went and voted serenity and dignity. It is to the credit of the Ghanaian nation. We should not do anything tomorrow. I believe that all these events now adversely control. So I have big responsibilities now. huge responsibilities of a modest friend.
And that's the President-elect Nana Akufo-Addoof there. Well, the NDC this afternoon is asking the opposition patriotic party to do a bit more to stop the violent attacks resulting from the election victory jubilations. According to the party, its supporters across the country are being attacked by MPP members following Nana Akufo-Addoo's victory in the just-ended elections. Youth organizer of the NDC, Sidi Abubakar, is cautioning there may be reprisal attacks if the situation continues.
It has been just 3 days since the EC declared Nana Akufo-Addoof winner of the 2016 presidential elections. Even before the declaration, our peace-loving president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, called to congratulate President-elect Nana Addo Akufo-Addoof. He did it because he wanted to calm down tensions in the country. He did it because he loves Ghana and all its people, irrespective of whether they are MPP or NDC. Ladies and gentlemen, rather than celebrating the electoral victory, which they are entitled to, the MPP has chosen to exhibit its real violent nature as epitomized by the President-elect Nana Akufo-Addoof. In recent past, the MPP unleashed this violence on themselves and their own members while the security authorities look away. Today, they want to extend it to peace-loving Ghanaians just because they supported the NDC, which they are constitutionally entitled to. Ladies and gentlemen, the NDC warned Ghanaians against electing violent-natured president. Now, we can all see the violence which we have put our hands with Nana Addo as president for the next 4 years. What you see is what you get. Ladies and gentlemen, our supporters throughout the country are subjected to daily and nightly violent attacks unleashed by the lawless thugs of the MPP, whose leadership are directly sponsoring and encouraging the violence perpetuated on law-abiding Ghanaians. Our NDC supporters throughout the country are equally Ghanaians. Our supporters have endured enough of the MPP violence in the past 3 days. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we, the leadership, cannot guarantee that our people will continue to stand by without defending themselves.
Well, the National Peace Council says the acts of violence and vandalism being recorded in some parts of the country is uncalled for. Now, they're asking that peace prevails. They have been the chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Father Professor Imamassures, who described this act as paying back, says Ghana has come too far to allow a few miscreants to destroy the country's reputation. He asked opponents to desist from causing mayhem to discredit the winning party.
It's very, very discomforting, and it's unfortunate that, the aftermath of the election, and especially when everything has gone smoothly, and we have been commended highly by the world community, that a few people would want to do things that will take away our democratic credentials, will ruin the peace and all that we have enjoyed. But I want to say that, they cannot, because I believe that the police will be on top of the affairs and they're doing the best that they can. And I would like to say to all of them that, this whole idea of equalization, somebody did it to me years ago, and therefore I would do the same thing. It's barbaric. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't contribute really to our democratic credentials. And I would want to say, as the chairman of the National Peace Council, that we are not the least amused by these things that are going on. If we allow these things to creep into our politics, when are we going to break the cycle? I want to look at this situation and I want to call it what it is, criminality. that those who are engaged in that should not even be given any political party tag, whether NPP or NDC, but they should be considered as simply criminals who want to create, problems for this country, and they must be dealt with according to the laws of the land.
Based on what you have said, does it suggest that it has come to your attention that some persons also from the NDC are also, in a way, creating some form of chaos to incite the winners who are the MPP?
Whether it is coming from the NDC or whether it's coming from the NPP, all that we are saying is that, it is a criminal act. I don't want us to give it any party color. We have done that in the past. People do criminal things and they douse it with political party colors. And so they politicize the kinds of things that they do. And because of that, their political party people would then stand with them. I think we need to move away from this. A criminal action then will be a criminal action today. And therefore, it is important for those who are engaged in trying to create confusion in this nation to understand that they cannot take the nation for granted.
This happened right after the elections. Madam Charlotte Osei made the announcement of the winner for the elections. Do you think that police have acted so swiftly, or they have been a bit slow?
No, I mean, I'm sure that the police might have given space for people to rejoice. After all, I mean, if you support a party and the party wins an election, you have every right to rejoice. All we are saying is that if they felt that the deal is done, because, we have done it, it's been peaceful, the world community is saying it's been peaceful, and so now we must rest. This is the period that they must also get their acts together and begin to rise up and see. Criminals will simply use the occasion also to do all sorts of things in the name of political parties.
I'm sure you might have heard that some supporters of the winning party, the MPP, were clad in party colors to church and other religious functions. That may be quite inevitable, but do you think they're taking it to the extreme to incite the losers?
It is very difficult, for you to really tell people don't wear this or don't wear that. After all, their party has won. And if I'm in a church and somebody comes there in party colors, I would not be in a position to turn that person out. All that I would like to say to Christians is that let us be circumspect. Let's not try to alienate other people. But then I will also say to the other people to be tolerant. I mean, part of politics is that, you are also tolerant of the other person. Allow them, to rejoice. But whilst we're telling them to be very, very circumspect in rejoicing, losers should also be graceful in losing.
So that will be it for the post-election blues and the violence-related issues. We will delve into it sometime later and find out if any work has been done in this regard to stop the bleeding in that regard. Now, we may be looking at over 125 new faces who will show up after January 7 next year when the next parliament session begins. It has been an election of shocks, trauma, joy, and fatalities. Strongholds were broken and bigwigs were shut down. So just what is in store for Ghanaians as the next batch of 275 representatives of the constituencies for the next 4 years will be? Well, joining me in the studio for this discussion is Elton Brobe, our parliamentary correspondent. Elton, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Been a while, and you've been covering almost every part of this election, but we'll look at this part in some more detail. Also joining us via Skype is Rashid Rahman, the Executive Director for the Center for Parliamentary Affairs. He's joining us via Skype. Mr. Rahman, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Right. So, Elton, let me begin with you. You've covered Parliament for this session. A new one is upon us. It's coming through after January 7.
Yeah.
This 125 new faces, and with the record of the last 4 years and the new faces that came through the last time, will it be a loss of experience or a brand new slate for us?
Well, we are looking at 125 new faces, people who've not had any parliamentary experience. They are coming in as first-timers, and they will require to go through training to be able to come to, appreciate the work of Parliament, the standing orders, the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, because in Parliament we're dealing with the standing orders and the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and then the procedure. So it will take some time before these guys are able to, you know, find their feet.
Usually, how much time does it take?
Well, usually after the formal inauguration, I think there's a week or two program to educate them on what really it's all about. Usually it takes place at Gimpa. But before Parliament was adjourned in November to allow for this particular election, the Speaker announced the setting up of the Parliamentary Training Institute, which is to be managed by Papa Usman Kama and others. I don't know whether it is up and running now. If it is up and running, it means that the newcomers will be the first to go through that training session before Parliament is reconvened after the inauguration of the incoming president.
Okay. Now, that's for training, but the reality is that even after the training, it will practically take some time before they get their hands around everything, isn't
Absolutely. There are people who've been in the House for 2-3 terms. They are still not able to even speak on the floor. Not that maybe they lack the experience, but sometimes confidence also counts.
Okay.
And then also understanding the processes by which you can get something done on the floor is also another matter altogether. There are people who are masters in some of these areas. So sometimes they become resource persons for people who come in. Like I said, people have been in the House for several years. They are still not able to put their house together.
Okay.
There are people who are first timers. I can mention names. And sometimes when they're on the floor and they are speaking, I mean, it's a different ball game.
Okay. So 125 new faces, that means 150 old guards will be there.
Exactly.
Okay. So is this a good blend, considering the argument that has been put up in the past that when these lots of chaps leave, experience becomes an issue in the House?
Of course it is. I mean, you know that Parliament, you grow on the job. I mean, no matter the background you will be coming from, it is a different environment. They claim that they are masters of their own, you know, program. So you need to adopt to their style. Otherwise, you may have all the academic qualification, the experience in your field, but you may be lacking in terms of when it comes to the real business on the floor. That's how come. That's the more reason why you need to learn from the best. So this 2 weeks training program they organize for them before they start usually is to allow them to, you know, get themselves in readiness for the task ahead. And usually some are able to do it. Some have been in the House for several years. They are still lagging behind, and that's been the issue. But the fact of the matter is that the 125 that are coming in, some first timers they lost and are not coming back. There are people who've been in the House for over 20 years. They lost.
They're leaving.
They are first timers who are also continuing. So it is a blend of well experienced people with little experience and no experience at all coming after the midnight of 6 January 2017.
That'll be something to expect. Elton, I'll ask you the last question as to whether the proportion of those who learn are in there creditably or not. I will come back to you shortly. But Mr. Draman is still with us via Skype. Mr. Draman, you look at this mix now, 125 new faces in Parliament. Are we losing too much experience in the House?
Thank you for having me. I think certainly we are losing a lot of experience. And then if you look at our constitutional arrangement, we are going to have a number of these new faces taken away from Parliament to be made ministers of state. And that, again, adds to the challenge that this high attrition rate would present to Parliament. I wanted to, maybe before you ask me the next question, I wanted to comment on one thing that Elton mentioned. That's the Parliamentary Training Institute. The institute is not up and running yet. I was a technical person that was advising the committee that the Speaker put together to set up this institute. We're supposed to inaugurate it on the 19th of November, sorry, 21st of November, but that did not happen. And right now, I think the plan is to inaugurate it before the new Parliament comes into being. Even if that happens, I think that the kind of orientation and training that we should be looking at going forward, particularly if we are going to continue to have these high numbers going out of Parliament, should be similar to maybe what used to happen in Europe. A colleague of mine told me he used to be part of orientation for Dutch MPs in the Netherlands. And when you are elected an MP, I think you are given a very rigorous 6-week training before you go and open your mouth on the floor of the House. And I think that we should be minded by these, because as Elton mentioned, a number of MPs have been in the House for many years and they still cannot find their way around. If you organize them and give them a training at GIMPA for 2 weeks, that is sometimes not focused, that sometimes doesn't have the right caliber of people delivering these trainings and so on. You end up confusing them more than helping them.
Okay. Now, the last question I want to ask you is this. What happens before the dissolution and the swearing in of the new parliament?
Well, I think we have up until midnight of January 6th, we still have this parliament. They still have business. They are going to be reconvening, I don't know exactly when, but very soon. And parliamentary business will go on until it gets dissolved on midnight of January 6th.
Okay. Mr. Rahman, thank you for joining us this afternoon for that short conversation on the expectation for the next parliament and the things that they will have to look at. Elton, I want to end on this note. The RTI bill was never touched.
It is done and dusted. It's not coming back. If this new administration wants to bring it back, it will start from the scratch, because every outstanding business with this seized parliament, if not executed, at the expiration of their term, it will cease to exist as a document before Parliament. And if the new government wants to reintroduce it, it will start as though it is something new coming before Parliament, and it has to go through all the stages before we can bring it to the floor for passage. Okay.
Thank you, Alton, for your time. And oh, I forgot. Happy birthday, Alton.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you have a good one today, won't you?
Absolutely.
A good one. Okay. Thank you, Alton. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll talk some politics, but this time we'll delve into the area of the MPP. Yes, they won the election, but what did the youth do in helping them achieve that end? Details after the break. Stay with us.